y'all are feeling well tonight. The Cloudy Moon Cats. Let's jump into the chat right here. What's going on? Kimmy, welcome. You are first. Starlight Spectrum and Vicky, how are you? Welcome to everybody. So it actually looks like it's going to be sort of clearing in a little bit. I can see a little bit of Jupiter, a bit of Saturn. So it'll be a nice one. Hopefully it won't rain. It's been crazy for the last couple of nights, just super stormy, super clouds. What's happening, David Schmidt? Morning. Yeah, I'm here for a bit. The moon is just not even completely south yet. Still rising. Starlight Spectrum says, Dr. Moon, how are you? It's pretty funny. That's from the Electric View on Sunday. But I'm doing well, thank you. A little bit tired, been working pretty hard, but I got a little break this evening. I'm gonna try and loop in Shockwave Rick, maybe, in a little bit. We're trying to get a chat going between me and him and Neil and get them on the show. So we'll see if Neil shows up. And I think Rick will show up in a little bit. I'm trying to switch it. Yo, what's going on? P&K Space Imaging. What up? Much love. How's the weather? We've been getting like real stretches, and it's like gonna pour, and then all of a sudden it kind of clears up. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Yeah, you too, my man. Have a great stream. Let's do this thing. what's going on? Dragon's Den Glass, how are you? Looks like a Scooby-Doo episode. I switched it over real quick to see where Jupiter's at. Jupiter's already on its way to being set. So this is like right above like the 20-degree. Nice moon arrangement. Pulling up Stellarium. Kimmy says, I saw a green fireball. That must have been an iridium flare or a meteorite burning out in the atmosphere. That's awesome. So Jupe's 23 degrees and setting. The moons are from left to right, Callisto, Ganymede, Europa, and then Io hanging out to the right. Doesn't seem like the red storm is showing. I'll get some labels going right here. Jupiter moons. Throw on some new tunes. That's a little early, I'll get back to that one. What about Electro Cats? Where are you at? Where are you at? I like this one. What's up, Miguel? And what's up, Unseer? Wundershine? Flash Mutter yeah, welcome all. Just getting started. Let's check out Saturn. We'll head back to Luna. Deep inside my soul, you keep me waiting. You keep me deep inside your soul. I keep you waiting. I keep you deep inside my soul. You keep me waiting. You keep me deep inside your soul. You keep me waiting. Somehow I remember bad times in the dust. Only everyone was us. We edged it once and there was this trust. We lasted, we ignored the thru. I lived it once and
Inside
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's a little bit clear, so it's nice, dare I say, but, you know, the last few nights I was just like, it's clear, and the clouds just moved in, so I'm being very, I don't want to say conservative, but cautious about saying it cleared, but it looks nice. Beautiful Terminator line cutting across the rays of Copernicus and right across Sinus Iridum. So I think if I can zoom in, the views are going to be really good. What's up, Rick? Welcome. Let me know if you want to join whenever you're ready. And so we're mentioning that Uranus, or Uranus, instead of Saturn, may have been the original sun in the context of the electric universe cosmology historically. And I think it's this woman who interviewed with Greg J, Tess Clark, who has a lot of the story. So I linked that in the chat room. Take a look at that. I'm not sure either way, either Saturn or Uranus still means that the universe is electric. I don't know if we're going to figure out exactly which protostar powered our system. Maybe we will, if we're able to trace the filaments and the roots backwards. And so another thing, I saw this little video today from, let me see if I can find my history here, because it was Popular Science talking about filaments. Here it is. So Durham University, and they say astronomers get detailed view of cosmic web. And then about, I don't know, it's only a 2-minute video, but right at the end they're like, cosmic filaments. It's like, I know, for sure. What's going on, Sisters of Isis? Says, hey all, I learned this week the word given the meaning Egypt is used in Hebrew Bible, is Arabic, and several other languages for Jupiter, which matches up better to the Greek Aegyptus. Makes much more sense since no one from the area had ever heard of Egypt before King James. It's really interesting, actually. I hadn't looked that up. Aegyptus. Bookmarked for further deep dives. In Greek mythology, Aegyptus was a legendary king of ancient Egypt. He was the descendant of the princess Io through his father Belus, and of the river god Nilus through Akiro, his mother. Ellie Wynn, hi Filamentary Space Lane, how are ya? Welcome. That's pretty fascinating. Thanks for the note. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. So it sucks, the camera's out of range of the little remote, so I gotta handle it manually tonight, just for the time being. How you doing, Ellie? And what's going on, Vincent? And whoever else is joining. Just showing you contextually how the cloud situation looks. It's really pretty outside. It's breaking apart. But that's what's going on. Let's see what the moon is tonight. Moving towards the full moon soon. I really had all these plans. We got the songs ready. I still have a few more days, see if I can make it happen. An 80.2% illuminated waxing gibbous in cloudy, humid Florida. It's a good night. I'm just feeling very chill. Not much to report on. I watched a little bit of Electric Universe before the show, some Donald Scott updates on what he thinks about Sapphire Project and how it corroborates the idea of the electric sun. There was a Pierre-Marie Robitaille video a week ago that was still kind of watching that because his videos really demand rewatches. Yo, what's going on, Bom Dia? You're here with Kimmy. It's awesome. Sweet. Exactly, the moon's having a puff. Puff, pacing. Passive. Yeah, so Donald Scott stuff. It was a really fun show chatting with everybody and what Buddy was showing. If y'all were on the Electric View, here, I'm gonna link that. I always kind of space on that, but I really enjoy hanging out every Sunday and listening in and chatting. So if you haven't checked out the Electric View, where's my chat room at? I know most of you already have, but go give him some listens, some love. I want to get Neil on the show. Maybe he'll join us if he shows up later. Just chat about, the filamentary nature of our cosmos. What else was I watching? I'm trying to think. I saw a whole bunch of videos about how, cold, dark matter and just all these ad hoc ideas about what astronomers are trying to define these things in space, that just this language is always spooky language, and I really don't think it goes anywhere. I think it's much cooler to understand the universe as a structured electric tree that branches into all sizes and dimensions and affects itself and its surroundings, like an interplay between consciousness and matter. Simplicity seems not to be the goal of businesses, really. And these things like the Large Hadron Collider, these are businesses and investments. So even though it seems very contrary, it seems like if the powers that be and the businesses that be just admitted that the universe was connected through electricity, a lot of projects would end because you'd no longer have this thing you'd have to search for. So if you continue the quest, you quest for profit. But just because other people quest for profit doesn't mean we can't move forward with science. The fact that somehow science is tied to businesses makes no sense. Did I lose my chat room? Restore chat. I feel like I lost y'all. There we go. Alright, so it looks like it's clearing up a little bit. We got Mari Crisium looking a little less hexagonal tonight, I think because of libration, but you can really clearly see the double-lobed shape of serenity and tranquility I grab that illustration and begin. So it actually did clear, proper clear. So we're gonna get some nice, really crisp views. Love this Mare Undarum at the 4 o'clock position. That is Mare Fecunditatis, and then Langrenus crater, like right on the rim. I'll show you some really intriguing geometry. Yo, what's happening? Rain Song, long time. Let's throw on some strut for my brothers and sisters. Let's do it. Old tracks, or not that old. But how do you search your own stuff? What's up, Mary? How are you? Interesting South Pole of Luna Tuna tonight. Yeah, Tycho Crater, and then Clavius, Schickard, Schiller. Boxes and boxes. Got something to say. Indestructible ideas are vanishing, aimlessly wandering away. The nation crawls, insatiable, into your nighttime activities, your liberties. What can you say? You're my sister and I love you forever. You're my brother and I love you forever. What's up, y'all? Alright, hopping back here for a sec. I was having trouble focusing for some reason. I think it's just the atmospherics wasn't letting me really nail it. It's still kind of hazy, but no clouds, thankfully. So I zoomed in here to this region that Dragon's Den Glass requested. Let me just switch this track. So this is in Mare Tranquillitatis, and right in the center of the screen, it's a little bit difficult to see, but there's twin craters, and I will telestrate that. This is Ritter. Whoops. Clear that. Ritter and Sabine, right here. So Dragon's Den, let me know if that's what you're looking for. Alright, y'all. Rick is ready to go. And I got Jupiter pulled up. So let's see how I can make this work. So I'm going to switch it around. Alright, bear with me. Keep this music going to make sure this stays in. Alright, should we try Skype or Discord? I guess let's just do Discord. We're already in here. Test, test.
Yep.
All right. So let me know if you can hear both me and Rick and the music, and if the levels are right, and then we'll adjust from there. There's a bit of a lag, of course, but let's see what the dealie is.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, Rick, thanks for joining. Please talk for a little bit. Tell us a little bit about Jupiter as like a test thing for a minute, and we'll do levels.
All right. We're looking at Jupiter, the destroyer, also known as Nibiru, named by the Sumerians as Nibiru. And we only see 4 of its 79 moons. That's a shame, isn't it? Yeah, well, I mean, you know, light, if it's being blocked by Saturn, it won't show either. It doesn't have to be directly behind it. If it's in line with the sun's light, you won't see it either.
Sweet. So I'm gonna just do my telestration of a Birkeland current on top of Jupiter, and so let me know. Y'all are probably listening in the chat at this point. You've heard both me and Rick talk. Let me know if you can hear Rick all right, the music in the background, and me chatting, and we'll keep going. And I think, oh, Neil is actually pinging me in Skype.
Oh, well,
Just
tell
bring him
him
into Discord.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny, misspelling Discord. What's up, Michael Wise and somebody somewhere? And Mary lurking. And anybody I missed, let me know if you want me to shout you out. Sweet, audio is good. Got a tasteful good. I don't know, what is that? What do you call that finger emoji? What is it? Perfect? Okay? Yeah, okay.
Okay, as Buckwheat would say.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Rick's coming through good. Music is faint. Yeah, music is on 1. It's on the lowest. I just didn't want to overwhelm. That's great. So let's see. So I'm going to telestrate some Birkeland currents. Hopefully you can get Neil to join us. Maybe Neil will just hop on. So Neil is from the Electric View, and I put that link here. I'll drop it in again. So there are lots of videos there to catch up on, but pretty much every Sunday around 1 or 2 p.m. Eastern, Neil hosts a show with a bunch of amazing people, from Ramon and Buddy to Andrew Hall and David and Rick and Michael. So many great peeps. Jim Wenninger.
Yeah, you can lose yourself in the amount of videos that are on the Electric View now. When I first joined there was maybe 10, 12, maybe 15.
What's going on, Authentic Max? All right.
Hey, Miguel.
Let's get this show. All right, so where's my paint program? There it is. And so this idea that we're looking at Jupiter, right? And that Jupiter is along this filament in space on a branch.
Well, I think that's incorrect, my friend.
Let me start it and then tell me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If you think of where Jupiter is in the solar system, It's aligned to one of these field lines of the magnetic forces that.
Like this. On the sun's field line. I know.
If you drew a straight line, well, a curvy line along the you'd have well.
Yeah,
I wish I
so
had the telestrator.
yeah, that would be fun. That's a future improvement. Hopefully we'll be able to share screen and do stuff like that. But the point is, I do believe that there is power coming into Jupiter from the poles by these Birkeland filaments. So
Yeah, they're more condensed, and they come off of this big, huge sheet of electrical field lines. So it's like sprinkle a magnet. Neil
sure.
says it's dipolar and all of that, but I still think these field lines exist. Tori inside of tori, like our magnetic field has multiple tories inside of it. Proof of which is the Van Allen belt.
Well,
right?
yeah, I definitely think that that's going on, like I'm illustrating right here, where there is the magnetic field of Jupiter. And let me just center this for a sec.
But they're smaller Birkeland currents. They're individual Birkeland currents, and they're very small, and they combine together at the poles. It's like it's like if you had a bunch of spaghetti
Sure.
all together.
Magnetic ropes, as
And
they call them.
magnetic ropes. That's right.
Sure. But I think as I'm illustrating this magnetic field of Jupiter, this is the 2D representation of the toroidal flux field, right? And magnetism compresses matter to this inertial plane where we see essentially.
Yeah, the Birkeland
orbits.
currents just represent the energy going into there to create that magnetic field.
Exactly.
Without that energy entering into the north and south pole of Jupiter, you would not have this magnetic field. There would be no gravity, nothing.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, I think this illustration sort of shows that crudely, but yeah, the idea basically that planets have an internal core
If you
that
if you drew
generates.
if
Yeah,
yeah, sorry, Chris. If
no
you
problem.
drew a curved line a few inches away from Saturn or Jupiter there, and then made a bunch of spaghetti-like lines toward
Oh, I know what you're
Jupiter on the
talking about.
south and bottom.
You
Yeah,
mean something like
that's
this? Wait, like something like flying spaghetti monster swooping towards you.
you might want to clear it all out. It looks a little funky now.
Wait, what about now? I don't know what I'm drawing.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect now. Just draw a curved line.
Oh, okay, hold on,
3 or
hold on.
4 inches away from.
A curved line like a sine wave?
Yeah, just like just a curving line, just from up to down, a curving.
Okay. Love it. Did I lose you, Rick? And also, where's Neil?
No, I don't know. He hasn't. He said okay, but yeah.
All right, all right. What's going on, Howie? Welcome. Big love.
No, just a single curved line
That is a single
representing
curved line.
the sheet. No, that's a multiple curved line.
Wait, right now?
No, from top to bottom.
Are you
Like that, but really big, sweeping from top to bottom.
Okay.
Keep going. Keep going.
Got it. Like that.
We're a little delayed.
Yeah,
so.
this is actually a little more complicated than I thought. So at one point we'll have to do screen sharing and then kind of push it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to for people to.
Well, I'll post a picture for you here in Discord, and you can
Ooh, I
kind
can
of
sketch. All right, I
yeah
think
sketch.
we're losing Jupiter a little bit. You can see the clouds have moved in. Let's check out Saturn, and we can keep talking about the same sort of thing. Please continue.
Okay, there you go, Chris. Now you see how it seems like it's a sheet that this energy is flowing off of and then curving towards the planet. It'll be the same way for Jupiter and the same way for Saturn. In fact, I have a picture of how they mapped these magnetic field lines or Birkeland currents that
All
go
right,
to
let's take a
Jupiter.
look at this. You posted it in general.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to draw, but
Sorry.
very poorly.
Yeah.
But
Well, if you
want me to draw the
it like
blue? Are you talking about the yellow ropes to Saturn, or the blue-green sheath that you're talking
the
about?
blue-green sheet, that the first one is Earth, and you see how these magnetic field lines, they come off of, or the Birkeland currents, they come off of this what seems like a curved sheath.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay, I got it. I can elaborate on this drawing, but at least the first one is sort of what I was drawing, but it's way more intense. Actually, it looks like a larger filamentary branch with a branched out filament.
That's why
bunch.
I say a bunch of spaghetti lines coming in.
All right.
And
Let's
they're
do the
fanning
spaghetti
out.
monster properly. Howie, I told you there's a link in my description with an email. Send it to me if you'd like. I really haven't had a chance to check it out. All right, let's do this Saturn thing, and we'll try and get these ropes illustrated correctly.
Yeah, pretend you're looking at that from a 90-degree angle,
Yeah,
like, yeah, and then just draw some spaghetti lines off the sides and connect it.
Of course, not drawn to scale.
It doesn't have to be, right? It just you're telestrating.
Spaghetti Birkeland currents. Okay, so it's something like that, and then let me just look at this. There's also like this curl right here. It's really like a curl torsion pressure. It's like
Oh, you're drawing the Saturn one?
Yeah, I mean, as best I understand it, like it's doing this kind of.
Welcome, Neil.
Ooh, we got Neil here.
Yep.
Alright, so I'm doing my best to draw some spaghetti monsters. And let's see what else. So this bow shock. I mean, it seems like it's. Let's see.
I think Neil is switching over microphones or something.
That way? No, it's kind of like a 3D. Yeah. Whoa.
Ooh. Neil?
Let's get that readjusted. All right, so I'm trying to figure this out, but I think like it almost looks like this whole thing is like spherical sheaths, like double plasma layers, right? That's sort of how it looks to me. I'm trying to illustrate it correct, but something like that. You can actually maybe post the link for people in the chat, Rick.
The link.
I can do it too.
The link to the images?
Oh yeah, the thing you just posted in Discord. Is there a link to that? You can post it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll have to go look it up. It's on the NASA website.
Okay, no worries. I think it's like magnetic ropes if you look it up, but I'll do it. All right, let me hide this, and we'll just take a look at Saturn. Back at the moon in a couple of minutes. Neil, let me know if you made it. And thanks everybody for bearing with us with just having some fun here. Trying to draw some Birkeland filaments in a more defined way.
All right, I found it.
Sweet.
I will post it here for you folks to go look at. You have to scroll down a little bit to, you'll see the image of the yellow and the green and the red ropes, magnetic flux ropes they call, but they're actually Birkeland currents.
Right
And
on.
below that, you'll see an image of Venus and its non-magnetosphere. It has a great big huge long tail just like a comet, but we don't see that because it's ramping down in it's in dark mode. It's not in glow mode anymore. But hang on one second.
I got it, actually, Rick. No worries. This one?
You beat me to.
Sorry, I know, I am the host after all. It's the Venus HDMI one? Or am I wrong? Yeah. Post another one if you found it.
I think it's the same. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing diagram.
Yeah, NASA has Langmuir probes out on spacecraft, and they've mapped these massive amounts of energy coming to the planet, connecting to the planet.
Oh, so
Andy Hall thinks there's 10 million amps coursing through the Earth and 10 billion through the Sun.
Wasn't Eugene lamenting the fact that some of the comet craft didn't have a magnetometer or a Langmuir probe? I think like the one going to Ryugu.
Yeah. Yeah, they should put a Langmuir probe on every single spacecraft that they put out there. That way I heard your telescope moving or something. Oh, Miguel says he's lost in English. I'm sorry, Miguel no habla español. That was for Miguel, by the way. Yeah, play us a music interlude until Neil gets ready and back. You guys wouldn't mind some music, would you?
Alright, let's get a track going here. Let's lively it up.
Alphane's model of the electric current? Let me put it up for you quick.
Thanks. Definitely need a refresher on the particulars of Alphane's model. Yeah, it's got pretty spooky. It's a nice early Halloween moon for sure. It's got kind of like pulled in these clouds together and with a reddish tint. So I'm kind of blowing it out here so you can see not Aristarchus, Sinus Iridum right along the Terminator. See it in more relief. So it's a bit blown out on the right. Wow, that's bird passed really close. Landed on the scope. It's like, damn. Saw it in real life and on the camera. I was like, what the hell? Alright, let's see what Neil said.
Okay, there you go. There's Alphane's solar model, but you have to double it on both sides.
Alright, let's see.
But you can see the
Right.
Birkeland current.
Yeah,
Continue that Birkeland current right through that model all the way past it to infinity, and that's how our sun is powered.
Yeah, so this is sort of what I've been drawing on top of Jupiter, which you said was wrong, you bastard.
No,
I'm teasing.
that's a good model for the sun, how the sun is powered. But
how come the planets are not
Jupiter,
powered similarly?
well,
Here, let
you
me
saw
lower
how
this
you saw the structure of how the magnetic flux ropes or Birkeland currents, small Birkeland currents, enter the northern and
Right.
southern poles of Jupiter and Saturn and the Earth. But the sun is powered completely differently. It has a Birkeland current that comes from outside of the solar environment,
Right.
and goes right through it, both sides, up and down, in an AC current. That these Birkeland currents are flow both ways, back and forth.
Yeah, but these filaments, Mary's asking, are the filaments shooting out or coming in? Aren't the filaments like there, and energy is moving through in and out of these
Well, you see,
pinches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you go back to Jupiter and draw it again?
Jupiter's already.
Or Saturn? You could do Saturn. Then you could draw it and you could say that's the model of how the Birkeland current passes through the sun, creating these magnetic field lines, creating tori within tori, and then you can make a dot where you know Earth would be, where Jupiter would be, where Saturn would be, and then you can do small lines that curve off of the big curve line the other way, that curve the other way to connect to the planet there. You know what I mean?
You lost me a little there at the end because I was just shifting the scope. 1 second.
Okay, well, I'll explain it once you get there.
Yeah, I'm here. Give me a sec.
Okay, so do your normal thing, make it like Alphane's work that I. But do both sides, not just the one side, like
No,
is
I'll do it, and then you tell me how wrong it is.
No.
I'm teasing.
I don't want to.
I'm teasing,
want to
Mr.
be.
Thick Skin. All right, just like chilling here. Hold on, let me
I don't want to be
erase.
the bad guy.
Don't be the bad guy. Say hello to the bad guy.
You talking to me?
I butcher that accent pretty pretty regularly. All right, let's see. Anything in the chat? Alfredo Vidola, what's going on? You should play your music at 432 hertz. I don't do that because it's really a pain in the ass, but all frequencies have their own meaning. I don't think there's anything particular about 432.
Wow, what just happened?
Nothing, I just was looking through the chat. I want to make sure I don't miss people. All right, so I got Saturn here, and it's blown out just because I want to make sure we can see it, and I don't want to deal with that. And
Yep,
I got a
yep,
paint
that's good.
program, paint pulled up. All right, so this is what I typically draw. Just lower this a little bit.
Do your Birkeland current thing.
I shall.
And do a couple of nice big shells around.
Okay, so
Tori.
So if you follow the one that you just posted, does something like this. Now, it looks very linear, right? And then from...
I have to wait till I catch up.
Right.
But yeah, if you drew it like that with a bunch of shells, and do you have the shells in there? Or you're still drawing? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so shells, right? So the diagram...
Keep going all the way past the end if you can.
That's as far as I can go here, because that's
oh,
how it
okay.
overlays.
The restrictions of the paint program.
So it kind of feeds backwards. It looks like almost like half a hamburger, right? So it almost like outside of frame.
That is the plane. This. That is the plane of ecliptic.
Right. So right here, right?
Yeah, just keep going. Keep making shells.
I got it. Yep. And then let's see. So through the center of the coil, it's like a linear filament. And then the flow of current shows like this.
Yep, and now if you can make a couple more shells inside that area where you made shells, then I'll show you how planets are fed in.
Alright, let me adjust this real quick. This one.
Yep, the energy goes both directions, in and out both directions. And now that it's being fed energy and it's making a magnetic field, this magnetic field is capturing the energy and feeding energy back into the planet system along the plane of ecliptic.
Yeah, so here I'm going to go flick it on and off. You can kind of see. This is really what's kind of lacking in science, is the merger of 2D and 3D representation superimposed on actual footage of space from big telescopes. So like if you had a Subaru or Keck telescope, like not the largest one, but like even their small ones, like the 20, 30 inch, trained on Saturn, with like somebody who knows what the F they're talking about in terms of like having studied it, showing these filaments and explaining like what we don't see, stuff that's in dark mode. And I mean, I venture to say that this whole idea of spooky dark matter, cold dark matter, that's basically plasma in dark mode. And it's not spooky or not there, it's just there, and we know what it is.
It's energy. It's
Right.
energy, pure, plain and simple. It's just energy. And I was gonna get you to draw a dot on the on one of those field lines, and then draw a counter curve to that dot, and that would show how energy comes off of the field lines in Birkeland current form and connects to planets, and basically all matter that's in the solar system has a Birkeland current connected to it.
Right, exactly. I mean, well, you see the moons, right? Like, I'm going to draw, like, pretty much what
Our moon doesn't have a Birkeland current connected to it because the Earth usurped its Birkeland current at one point.
Oh.
If it disconnected out of our magnetosphere, or it would attach to the sun and be powered by the sun.
Actually, yeah. Explain that further. I know you mentioned that, but I had an instant like gut reaction to, well, how does it retain stasis, libration, spin, all these things without being connected to a filament?
Well,
without magnetism.
Say that one more time. Sorry, Chris. Sorry.
So let's get back to the moon, right? So let's go to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the moon. No, you said the Earth usurped the moon's magnetic field, right? So the moon has no atmosphere really, and no Birkeland current going through it.
Yeah, if the moon have even had a Birkeland current connected to it or not, we don't know, because it was a child. We think it's a child of Jupiter. It fits right in with all of Jupiter's moons. It looks a lot like Jupiter's moons. So, given that fact, if it was in Jupiter's magnetosphere, it would not have a Birkeland current connected to it. It would have possibly had a short connection when it dislodged from Jupiter's orbit and was caught by the Earth. But if there's a body inside a magnetosphere of a planet, it won't be able to pick up its own Birkeland current from the sun. You see what I mean?
So I don't want to say like I fundamentally disagree, but I'm not 100% certain. I think it just might be a different type of filament, but it doesn't make sense that the moon is not on this kind of growing trajectory, and it seems to be a type of, I mean, from Io or Enceladus, these are iron-rich or rich moons that do have magnetic fields. They have like the plasma geysers, and they have a very thin, some of them much more powerful, but the moon doesn't not have an electrical field.
They may be getting their Birkeland current from Saturn or Jupiter, which probably have quite a bit more energy, giving off. They're still giving off energy, more so than
about?
We're talking about Jupiter and Saturn and
Welcome,
moons
Neil.
and Birkeland currents connecting to them. Hey, Neil.
Birkenstock currents.
Birkeland currents.
Birkenstock currents. What's going on, Neil? Welcome to the show.
Oh, good to be here. Very good to be here.
Awesome.
I see Matt's here too.
Yeah, well, he was in lonely and the Wizard channel, the Warframe channel.
Is this Matt EU? Awesome. No, Matt Brennan.
No, it isn't.
Matt Brennan. Yeah. What's going on? Cool.
He's a terrible guy. Just terrible, worst person I've ever met. But he does great things. No, actually, no. I'm thinking of somebody else. He's good. He's a good guy.
Sweet.
And thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Oh God, this is going to be fantastic. All right, I have 200 horsepower, so.
All right, as long as you can mute yourself.
Well, no, you can't hear them. Do you hear anything?
Yeah,
we can hear you accelerate.
Of the burning engines against the hard asphalt. All right, this is turned into a Tron
It's
novel.
okay.
Okay, let's do this moon thing. So I was disagreeing with Rick before y'all joined about this idea of downplaying the moon's electrical field. And even though moons and asteroids and comets, all of these could maybe not be, well, whether those are actually long filamentary currents, whatever degree those are, that's how like power would be transmitted. So yes, the moon doesn't have aurora, but it certainly has an electrical field enough to allow it to stay in
Oh God,
20,000, 30,000 year orbit at least. Let me lower the lighting and go ahead.
Well, it has transient electrical phenomena like lightning. You've saw pictures of that, I think.
Yeah, but that's due to the solar wind, though, right? We were talking about it having its own Birkeland current connected to it.
Well, it's inside of the Earth.
Like the Earth.
If it's getting anything, it's getting it from the Earth itself.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. If it has any current going to it, it's because it's inside the Earth's magnetosphere, and it's being supplied a very small amount of energy. And I surmise that if it was to break away from our magnetosphere, it would connect to the sun and be supplied energy from the sun itself.
Yeah, so I agree with that premise, but even if it were like so-called supplied with energy, how would that
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I was going to say, how is that transmitted to the moon? Isn't that via filaments? Even if it's within like a plasma sheath, to some degree the moon is connected to directly by something, right? Or am I thinking of it wrong?
Well, the moon unfortunately is well, it doesn't have a magnetic field. So electrically, it's just a sphere near to another sphere. The influences of its electric field and its gravity field are, well, we see it on the water, obviously, with regards to what it pulls around. Like that's not, I mean, there is an electric potential there, but as to how much it's getting influenced, I would say that it's completely ensconced. Like whatever happened to the moon, when we arrived there around it, we ensconced it like Saturn ensconced us. So we existed inside the purple dawn, inside of its glow, its coma. Well, the moon is inside of the Earth's coma.
Okay,
and whatever electrical potentials it has is weaker than the Earth, so we completely surround it. So just above the moon should be its double layer, basically, where the Earth impinges right on top of it. We're probably pushing it right in because, as far as I can tell, there's almost, I mean, it's almost equal to charges of us, as far as I.
Well, right. I mean, I understand that explanation, but it really is like it's saying both things at the same time. It's saying it has no atmosphere, and then all the articles come out, right, and the science says there's it's a very thin, if noticeable. It's always downplayed. It has some of that spooky language, kind of downplaying language about it. It's always referred to that
we
way.
Don't really know what we're talking about language?
Yeah, like it barely has an atmosphere compared to the Earth. I'm like, what the fuck is the frame of reference? Excuse my language. So
well, technically the Earth has an atmosphere that goes like all the way out to the moon. Technically.
I just mean in articles like that.
You can't breathe it.
Yeah, I just mean, but that's a totally new thing. Like that was only corroborated because somehow the article that came out this year actually got traction and people read for the 10th time about the Earth's atmosphere actually being much larger than it was assumed. But that's actually really old data. I mean, that was reported on 20 years ago.
I mean, I'm just happy that they're at the fact that they mentioned the Earth, or the moon actually has an atmosphere, because I was getting to the point where I'm like, okay, guys, it's not a vacuum. Like, but I'm happy they're past that now. Like, I mean, the only thing they need to make the next step is that the laws of thermodynamics, laws of atmosphere, gas pressures, gas laws, I guess it's called, from the Victorian era, do not apply to this at all. Same with the Mars. It's just, I mean, each grain of dust would be a positive charge with a negative surface, which would have negative around it. And then it would be like all over the place. So basically, it's going to immediately respond to electromagnetic field. It's not it's not going to be just, you know, like the bottom of the ocean or even snow. You know, it's not going to follow gas laws. I mean, obviously not. It should expand out into space and leave, but it doesn't. So
I just mean, like, even with the concept of floating things are still within filamentary 3D ether. Like, or you do not think that?
explodey thing.
Even explodey things explode along branching filaments that are in whatever state, glow mode, arc mode, dark mode, or other modes that we don't know, like Ionian or Dorian or whatever. And
I think those are columns from Greece, but that's okay.
or guitar scales.
Oh, that's what they are?
But-
Wow, I didn't know that.
But I don't think these filaments are like everywhere. I think
Why not?
the Birkeland currents only flow along the field, the field tori of magnetic field.
Well, but they also make their own, you see.
Right.
If you think,
But they don't. But they're not every. They're not like in every inch of deep space or space. They're selective where they are too. I mean, if you look at images of the connections between galaxies, you can see they're filamentary, but they're not everywhere.
Oh, they're pretty diffuse, and you're absolutely right. You see,
I know it's going to look like hair, but this is sort of what I
Yeah.
actually think it does look like in my mind, which could be wrong. But if you look at not aura photography, what is it? Kirlian photography?
Trillium photography, yeah.
Yeah, take the concept of what we talk about with, you know, fractally recursive geometry, what Buddy was showing, right? And supersymmetry, and then kind of go from, you know, quantum interaction, then like static electricity, lightning bolts, red sprites, whatever, Birkeland currents, cosmic lightning bolts, etc. Isn't everything in kind of like a mesh? I mean, this is what replaces, you know, bending of fabric of time and space. You're basically
Well, when you're talking about going down in scale, in talking about photons and atoms and electrons and all of that, then yeah, they're everywhere. If you're thinking about it in terms like that, but if you're thinking about it in terms of the solar system scale, or you know, I don't think these Birkeland currents are everywhere in that respect, but they are everywhere on a very, very small scale. I think that's true.
would it be out of line to think that the moon, the Earth, everything basically has gravity because it's pinched by these currents to a point. It's basically what magnetism does in like those little point videos. Where it grabs
like
the
Wallace
little
said,
BB
like
and,
Wallace says, I
puts it
think
in.
that gravity is just the ashes of the electromagnetic forces that are flowing through the
Right.
planet
Actually,
every
that
single.
was Alphane, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was Alphane.
So, well, right, I won't get that.
It's a quote from Wallace and Alphane.
Yes. But I think that you're more or less onto something. These arrangements of like, it's a matter of scale, and even the filaments that we go, oh, that's a filament. Like, for example, well, let's look at the Butterfly Nebula, for example. If you look closely at it from pictures from years ago, it looks like beautiful angelic clouds, whatever. And you can see that it has an hourglass shape, and it comes down to a pinch, and so we're on the same page there. But then here we are looking at this with high resolution Hubble telescopes, and we realize that the pinches, or the filament itself, is made of filament. And I bet you those filaments themselves are made of filament.
Isn't that string theory-ish? Very string theory.
Well, except that they have multiple dimensions and all that other crap, and this is just basically electrical science.
But wait 1 second before you move on from that. Well, we talk about that, but the language is actually very vague, and if you apply multidimensionality to multi-magnitudes that we talk about with fractals, then it does make sense, actually. I mean, all the language, look, they're looking at the same thing and calling it something else. Isn't this the whole thing all along? Like, it's everybody's is trying to do
with
the
dark
same.
matter, maybe they're. I mean, that's what the seems to be doing now. We're seeing threads of dark matter going through blah blah.
But they said it's a dark matter. What was it today? They said dark matter creates the structure by which, what is it, or something? It creates the template for what we see. So they're kind of attributing counter space and plasma in dark mode as creating kind of, as pinching down on matter. They're saying the same sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, as building the structure of a galaxy or the structure of the universe. Yeah.
I mean, I can see what they're trying to say. It's like you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to say it that way, but you're like, why are you beating around the bush like that? We know the laws that make this rule.
Well, yeah, they are beating around the bush by saying.
Well, yeah, and it's because they're using an antiquated theory to describe something. I mean, you're using an attractive-only force to describe everything. That's probably not real. You know, the reason that creation is probably what it is because we have this right-hand rule working, which creates these toruses and everything else that we see, which of course then turn into molecules, stuff like that. I mean, this would be a stepping stone assumption type of work, but not outside the laws of its own rules. I don't have to make any ad hoc explanations outside of electromagnetism to describe it. So,
right,
it's odd that, well, and this is the big problem that I have with them whole. But string theory, that's, I think it requires like multiple dimensions, 11 dimensions according to string theory, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
These threads going through time and space, and I just want to throw all that out the window. Like, that's...
I definitely wasn't
and I
rooting
same,
for it. No, yeah.
Pardon?
I wasn't advocating for it. I don't know why it just...
oh, I didn't think you were.
Yeah. I agree with you completely.
I just threw up in my mouth.
Oh, that's pleasant. So pleasant.
Thanks for saying that to everybody here.
So pleasant, right? Yeah, so no, I actually went to some talks. I saw Neil deGrasse speak once about, it was right after they deplaneted Pluto, and they demoted Pluto. And, sorry?
I said, darn them. Thanks for making all the kids cry, Neil.
Exactly. And then I saw Brian Greene give a talk on string theory. And I came up to him after the show, and he told me that people are just bags of particles floating around in the ether. And he actually, I think he said ether.
He used the word ether?
He used the word ether,
wow.
but he said bags of particles.
I prefer Jean-Luc Picard's there, the ugly bags of mostly water.
Yeah, ugly bags of mostly water, I was going to say.
Sorry, I think he's, so anyway, I don't love string theory much anymore, but it really does kind of, if you remember kind of the ideas that are presented within string theory, and all the multitude of episodes are basically, okay, these particles arrange in a lattice. Things never actually touch in the universe. This is exactly stuff that happens with magnetism, when plasma experiments and electrical experiments with magnetism. Arrangement of particles in formations that look like hexagons, etc., platonics, and so they arrange themselves but also have distance from themselves. And this is probably, to me, this kind of recursive nature of the same way people are. People arrange in groups, yet they're isolated. And then particles must arrange in isolation but also in groups. And at every level, the arrangement looks knowledgeable, like understandable, in focus or defined. And then you zoom out or zoom in, and it becomes randomness, which doesn't seem like it makes any sense. And then you get to another level. Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. It only seems that we're separate and not connected, but we're all connected. And I think if the energies being supplied to the Earth were different and like they were in the past, we would all realize that we're connected.
Well, I kind of mentioned that I was mentioning earlier on the show about how, you know, the admission of the connectedness of the universe would open up an entirely different thread of physics and astronomy. Therefore, you'd lose out on all this work. And so I think really, even nefarious or not, people are still tied to all these years of like having invested energy and emotion, time, money into these programs.
It's even more than that.
That will
about,
be flipped in a single speech or whatever, a single paper, which already has been, you know. Anyway, yes, please. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I was just going to agree with you and go further in saying that, I mean, you only have to look at the horror stories that were written about cars and what would happen if you ever hit 60 miles an hour. And your skin would fly right off your body. I mean, swear to God. That's what was happening. Everyone knew this. This is why you didn't make cars that went that fast. Flying?
Yeah,
man cannot fly. That's ridiculous. There's
that
no
story
possible
was
way man could get off the ground.
yeah, that story was told during the horse and buggy era when everybody was driving around in horse and buggy, and they saw this Model T driving around at 40, 45, 50 miles an hour.
And all the animal husbandry people, the big horse industry, okay, controlled by big wagons, okay, are like, we're all over it and trying to stop it. See, because cars
were better.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to clean up after them.
Well, so that's to sort of scrub the inside of your lungs there, but you know,
never done your own oil change, have you?
There you go.
Never sat behind a horse that's eaten Beano?
All right, yes. I think it's time for a musical.
That was the...
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
All right, gentlemen, be back in a few. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, and I hope you've been enjoying the show so far. I'm going to get myself a drink and keep going for a little bit longer. 10:15, swelter, and some moon.
That was a Seinfeld episode, by the way, folks. There you go.
You know, I've been driving this long and I still haven't
and there's a Timmy's drive-thru everywhere.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them. I haven't got it open. I just want to talk. What's going on?
I think we're still live, guys, by the way. But anyway. broadcast of his telescope
Well,
trained on the
and,
moon.
and us.
And us, yeah.
Alright, so I'm back. I figured out how to mute it. Sorry, I had to mute y'all for a second.
That's fine. We had a good conversation.
Wunderbar.
Talking about Tim Hortons coffee.
That's a conversation to have.
I think there's one over there. I think there's one on the other side of this bridge I can get to.
Shreddy Krueger. Exactly.
Neil's hunting for a coffee like crazy at
Oh,
12
I
o'clock.
am.
Oh man, I could use a coffee too.
Oh, what time is it?
It's 11:21. Well, here.
11:20, yeah. I have to work at 8 a.m., so I'm going to bed at some point in the next hour.
Well, I have to get up that like then too, but I don't know. I'll have a coffee anyway.
I want to give a shout out to David Rouse. What's going on, Pumpkin? Back to you. Welcome, welcome. And everybody else hanging out. I don't know. Let's see how many people are. Yeah. full chat.
Michael, we got David, we got Howie, we got Joel. Welcome. Ellie.
Yeah, but mostly shout outs to Neil for joining us tonight. And of course, Matt, welcome. And Rick, thank you. Rick's second show, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
This sounds good, actually. Like, I like the setup more. I don't have to worry about the kind of levels. I'm actually talking into the mic for Discord, and I'm talking into this mic here, so I think it's... Anyway, seems like it's working.
Perfect.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit more plasma. Any thoughts about the future of Sapphire project? S-A-F-I-R-E. Sapphire. What do you think they're going to do next? I know Monty was talking about energy and mutation of elements.
I'm gonna see what I can bring out of him when he gets on the show.
And don't forget the remediation of atomic radioactivity.
Right.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
big one. That's a really big one, folks. We can take our fuel rods that have been burning in nuclear power stations for, what, 40, 50 years now? Maybe even longer, because I'm sure there's ones from the 20s and 30s that are buried out in the desert somewhere that we can take them all up. We don't have to worry about putting radioactivity into the food table or the water table or any of the tables, and we can get rid of it.
I was actually having a big debate with that. E equals MC squared. But just a second. I'm about to go into a speaker, so I'm gonna mute you.
Okay. Well, when you get back
And
from
when I'll tell
ordering
you
your
all
coffee.
about that. Yeah, I found one, eh?
Well done. Yeah, it's
But yeah, we could. Sorry, Chris, go ahead. Yeah, I was mentioning that the clouds were wispy across the moon here.
Yeah, I want to zoom in, but like whatever. Let's just keep it wide for a second. And yeah, so what was I going to talk about? Yeah, so I had a question about Sapphire. I mentioned it to you once, Rick, but like the idea, if people have seen the Primer fields, the David Lapointe stuff, where he puts he squeezes kind of the plasma to create this plasma ball or node or plasmoid, right?
Right.
And what, if any, is like kind of the crossover experiment between that and Sapphire Project, where they have, like a spherical anode and they're pumping gas into the chamber, and it's being created around a sphere, a perfect sphere, or whatever the shape of the anode is, which is a sphere on a cylinder.
I suspect that a lot of these people that are doing plasma experiments in bell jars and things like that are doing transmutations and they don't even know it.
Repeat that one more time, because I
think
sort of
they're
caught it, but
I think they're doing transmutations. People that are doing plasma experiments in their garages and in bell jars and things like that. I think they're doing transmutations and they don't even know it.
So people, that means, is it creating elements or changing elements into other elements? Is it
Well,
both?
you saw
Yeah.
that the bell jar experiment that Monty and the boys ran before they, built Sapphire.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it.
Well, you must have seen it on the videos, no, Neil?
I might have and not know what I was seeing. So please describe.
There was one fella with his side to the camera and he was looking at a laptop, and Monty was standing in front of this bell jar with a
Oh,
glow,
okay.
and yeah, that's
Yeah,
that bell jar experiment that they ran to confirm that it, to go further with the testing and build Sapphire.
yeah, that was basically the prototype.
Yeah, and that's the same one that lit everybody's
USB drives.
USB memory
Yes.
sticks up that weren't even in the machine.
No, that's a lot of. It's interesting because the frequency would have to be pretty high, but you can do that with any sort of radio frequency.
Yeah, if you have a lot of a very powerful radio frequency and you bring that into its influence, it'll light up, right?
When
Like a ham
BBC actually
radio.
went online, oh yeah, when BBC went online, I was actually there with Philip Francis, and we were there in London. And this place was uh, basically it's where they first did the first broadcast for the BBC, and it was in the 1940s, right? But they got 150,000 watts, but they didn't put it. They put it right in the middle of the city. So basically, everybody within like 100 feet, when it started broadcasting, because it didn't broadcast every day, and when it did, well, all the times a day, they had to basically evacuate people from, like, for example, no one could be in the mess hall or the cafeteria, because all the forks would be arcing, and every single piece of metal would just be blue glow, because there was 100,000 watts electricity going to
St.
the air, and
Elmo's fire.
yeah, and they weren't expecting that to be a side effect, because obviously it hadn't done.
Well, because electricity. You can thank
because
electricity for that.
it does that, yes. So I wouldn't surprise me these type of effects.
Yeah, I mean, electricity does a hell of a lot more. It can manipulate genetics. It can turn biomatter into stone. It can turn regular matter, rock, in sand. If it piles it up, it can change that into stone. It's bloody amazing what electricity can do, folks.
Well, some of that's not proved yet, but it seems to be the case for sure. And when you were talking about Sapphire and regarding obviously the next steps for Sapphire, the things that popped into my mind immediately were things like, well, obviously the radiation or the destruction of radiation. And I was thinking about the formulas that we use, and I remember, E equals mc squared, and we know what E is, and we know what M is, we know what C is, being the speed of light. And I was thinking, we do know that we can change the speed of light in an environment. We know that it's easier to pass through certain objects or harder to pass through others. So we know these principles of it. We know that light may not be the same speed in other parts of the universe. We have evidence that light is changed over time in our general vicinity, the speed of light.
Can I jump in?
So,
Yeah, red and blue ship.
Because I like that idea. I just want to talk about changing speed of light or descriptions of speed of light into this concept of rate of induction. I vote for that.
Well,
It's the rate of induction of energy passage pattern in the universe. This idea that light can speed up and act on itself. Like one thing I really learned from this guy Ken Wheeler, and this idea that light doesn't really travel, but in fact it's a perturbation in the etheric energy field. Like that makes a lot of sense to me, you know. And
Newton's cradle.
sorry.
Newton's cradle. How light moves, and the same as how electrons move through a wire.
Right. I think, but it was changing the perception of what he talks about, where he's like, a candle is not emitting trillions of photon packets. You know, a light is perturbing the etheric electrical field around it and creating the radiance. You know,
Right.
that's why a 5-watt candle versus a 5-watt laser, which is point source. And I actually really think that whole concept within the electric universe is really fascinating, because then speed of light or light traversal can be quantified differently and thought about differently, which is rate of induction of whatever, you know, just start or change the paradigm from there. But maybe I'm just a dreamer.
Now you might be onto something, because we have induction of heat, right, to cold, or cold to hot. It may be something similar to that, the way light propagates. We just don't know. We're in the dark, folks. We just don't know. Well, we lost Neil.
Well, I think I want to go grab some dinner. This has been a super cool show. It's going to be cloudy for a while. If it clears up in a bit, maybe I'll do another one, but I'll be around tomorrow, folks. Maybe we'll do another show with Rick and Neil. 2 hours, it's very good.
Oh, Neil's back.
1.6 times the speed of light. So
Oh no. Oh, Thanos.
just in a light wave.
We lost you,
know what I
for
mean?
like a solid minute, and then you came in
Oh my God,
on
no.
a
Yeah.
I like it. I love that kind of energy, but you want to repeat that whole thing?
You
It's
want to
such a
start
Wayne's
over?
World moment.
Wow. So yeah, I guess I was stopped by the NSA. Oh, he's going to reveal the secrets of the universe. Mute him. Dook. There we go. Stop him. Stop him. No, I was
Let's try
saying that
that again then.
the speed of light we know is actually slower than the speed of induction, because we know that the light is traveling in a line away from the source, obviously using root 2, spreading out as it goes, but or square the the law of
Square law.
yeah, thank you. Anyway, it's not an up and down wave. It's a spiraling wave, because we know the right hand rules in effect, and we know that it makes a torus as it goes. So if that's the case, then the structure that makes that torus must be faster than the speed of light. So as the light goes through space at one speed, the spiral goes around at the same speed, but completes the full 360, while it only goes in a straight line. That means that it is literally, it has to be faster by like 1.6 or so than the speed of light. The actual
Okay.
construction inside of the electromagnetism inside of the waveform, because remember, it's a magnetic and electric wave, and the reflexes of both of them create light. So, but it's not right hand. It's not one's going one way and one's going the other on different planes. They have to spiral, and then as spiraling, they must go faster than the speed of light by definition.
Wow. Okay, I see.
So induction then is much in light, in an EM wave, is faster than light by a good margin. So just that alone tells us that there are things faster than the speed of light. So I have no idea why anyone would say that there isn't, because it is. I mean, induction's faster than light, period.
Hmm. Well,
Sorry,
that's how
I
induction
babble.
is.
I
That is
babble.
how induction is related to the speed of light. Wow. Okay.
Well, you asked.
Damn. Let me know. Was I
Can't
coming
quit
through?
now.
Yeah, so
Can't quit now. I found myself a park. I got a coffee. My sunroof's open. I'm looking up at the sky. Beautiful here.
Can you see the moon? Because we're looking at the moon close up. So
Well,
nah.
considering I had to pay like $30 to get a pay-as-you-go card just to be on the show, so I'm not going to spend the time to actually see the screen. I'm sorry, because that's more data. But
No, can you see the moon with your eyes? I was saying.
oh, well, let me take a peek around. Okay, well, I'm in the middle of a city, and there's lots of trees. You know, Canada.
Canada, yes, lots of trees. We should
And
be
no, not at the
carbon
moment. I think it's over there, but it's pretty cloudy. I can only see one star. It's hazy. I think that's not a star. So, sorry.
Oh well.
I'll go around and look for it after I, hang out here for a few minutes and do nothing with this lighter.
Neil, so I was just going to wrap it up when you hopped off for a sec. So
I didn't hop off. It just disconnected. I'm sorry.
yeah, when you disconnected. So yeah, I went to go grab some dinner, and then we can do this really anytime. So
I
very
love
simple.
this. This is fantastic.
Any night you want to actually get online, and we can. Tonight it was interesting earlier, like the screen sharing thing might come in handy, but talking about telestration and what we can draw on top of the planets and the moons and kind of think about ideas, that was really interesting. So thanks, Rick, and
You're welcome.
yeah, and thanks, Matt.
Thanks for having us.
Hanging out with us, and Neil, I
That's
really
been
appreciate
pretty
it.
cool. Yeah, he's the guy that helps me out when things are like if someone has to get to my computer type of thing.
I
He's in
try
the same
to.
city as me. Although we did end up, the only time we actually really tried to make use of that in our first live broadcast.
Oh, that was brutal from Basque.
From Bath. Oh, that was just the worst. And everything didn't work. But here I am right now with a pair of headphones, and so I've bought new headphones to plug into everything, and
Everything's good now.
everything's
all is
better at
fine
least.
now.
All is fine. Anyway,
Wonderful.
it has
So
been fantastic, and thank you so much for you just being on the show and some of the stuff that you managed to say and bring forth into the conversation. Really, I think that we need that. And I'm glad that we do.
Yeah. You're amazing, Chris. We love you. We love having you on Electric View.
oh,
I mean, even
thank
though
you.
I'm not a scientist or anything like that. I don't do scientific papers, or I just do my own research and keep it in my head. And you, Chris, are amazing, and you're an excellent addition to the group. So good on you.
I really try and take compliments if I sound awkward, and I really am, but I sincerely appreciate that. So thank you all so much, and thanks everybody in the chat room for hanging out. Another awesome space stream, and we'll do this again tomorrow, the day after, hopefully.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, Neil and everyone who was on tonight, of course, Rick and Matt, you're all welcome to join again. And yeah, I'll pick a song right here and play us out.
Well, don't forget, Chris, one thing you gotta mention to get some of the people that are in the live stream on the Discord so that they can come into the chat and chat with us.
Well, actually,
We
you did
want
pick
you
a
guys
locked
to come and
room.
talk.
You'll
You
have
did
to
make
go
the
through an
room locked.
interview process, like it's a 9-fold interview process, then an Iron Man competition, and then you have to get through Neil and Rick, and some
Have you
mud
ever
wrestling.
I'm not saying it's difficult to join our organization, but have you ever played EVE Online?
I know a lot of people actually have. So
I know that's what it's like.
Or if
Are
you're
you a spy?
or if you're a Trekkie or a Star Wars fan, you're in automatically.
Only if you can show us your ears on live stream.
all right, y'all. Have a great night. Let this moon drift off, and I'll catch y'all really soon.
Love you all. Take care.
Peace.
while.